This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. I've been covering the DeMolays and some of the other youth organizations that are affiliated with Freemasonry, really affiliated with the occult because that's what Freemasonry is. And I've been doing it because ever since that event that occurred in Florida, I knew that a lot of people out there would be confused about how kids can be on board with this stuff. Even those who had heard of Freemasons and the controlling that, the power that they have, even though they're more bottom of the pyramid, depending on, where they grow inside of Masonry, what right they go down, and then where they go from there. But I wanted to explain it because I wanted people to know that it's very easy for teens to be in on it because they've been recruiting them. Now, Walt Disney is in the DeMolay Hall of Fame. Yes, they have a Hall of Fame, believe it or not. A Hall of Shame, of course, is what it's more like. But Walt Disney, and this isn't breaking news, a lot of people have done videos on this. This information's been out for a while, but I want to connect the dots for you with Disney, with Walt Disney, and with what DeMolay really is. I want to break it down as simply put as I can for those of you who aren't aware. Now, DeMolay, okay, and I'm laughing because it's so in our faces and obvious that I don't understand how people don't see it. But it's named after Jacques de Molay, okay? He was the Grand Master of the Knights Templar, okay? He was also somebody who was burned alive. The DeMolays, this Masonic group, was named after this guy who was burned alive. Now, of course, they like to say, oh, they were wrong. He was wrongfully accused and all this stuff. They twist some, history itself is fake and full of lies anyway. Well, they love to twist these stories. It's laughable, right? He was burned at the stake for no reason because crazy Christians or crazy people were saying that they were worshiping the Baphomet. And indeed, the Knights Templar were worshiping the Baphomet. Indeed, the Masons do. These people are all Satanists. It's a common theme. They also were practicing homosexuality and other things that are pretty alarming. And of course, they were practicing witchcraft. So I'm sure the people that burned him at the stake just decided to make it up and they just wanted to burn him alive for no reason whatsoever. But this is the way the world used to be. See, this is what happened to occultists. Okay, people didn't allow it to go on. And if it did, this was the consequence. This is what people did. Now, you can't even call them out on it or they'll take your speech away. You can't even show people, but they can show themselves. And that's exactly what they're doing. So now that you understand where the name comes from, right? DeMolay. The fact that they're honoring someone who was burned alive, who worshiped the Baphomet, who was involved in homosexual orgies and all sorts of perversion and magic, shows you exactly what the organization is about, right? Then you get the connection with our pal Walt Disney, who just happens to be the most influential person on children that's probably ever lived, being that every kid watches Disney, every kid's parents watched Disney, and every parents these days who are in the Matrix are raising their kids on Disney, which means they're raising them on magic, sorcery, and witchcraft. And this all comes from the teachings of Freemasonry, from the Kabbalah, from Jewish mysticism, from black magic, from the occult. Okay, there's all different forms of magic and sorcery that they practice. The bottom line is it's just a pile of filth, and all these people are a bunch of scumbags. That's the bottom line. Disney himself was the 107th member of the original mother chapter of DeMolay in Kansas City. His fellow members fondly recalled him as a hardworking man and someone who was creative. Disney was proud of his participation in DeMolay. In fact, he sported a DeMolay ring until the 1940s. Disney's pride in DeMolay remained with him his entire life. He attributed his life and business success as a direct involvement with the organization. Back in 1963, the religious writer Roland Gammon communicated with 55 famous American personalities across the world. He asked them the same question: what is your faith and what part has it played in this achievement? Walt submitted a composition entitled Deeds Rather Than Words. All right, because remember, these people believe in their deeds. So they could do all this bad crap. They can kill, they can pillage, rape. But hey, if they do some good deeds, they convince themselves they're doing good deeds. That's what their duality that they believe in is all about. Their good deeds outweigh their bad deeds and all this crap. So Disney, Disney here has access to all these children, to all their brains, not to mention these orders that, you don't think for one second that Justin Timberlake and some of these kids who came through Mickey Mouse Club weren't raised through, DeMolay and Job's daughters. Of course they were. They even openly, if you search, you can find that Disney has their own DeMolay, kids foundation, own DeMolay's kids football team and stuff. There's videos on YouTube. It's just like, it's out in the open, right? So Disney, of course, somebody who has all this influence over kids, DeMolay himself, DeMolay Hall of Famer, right? And then put one and one together with how, I feel like an idiot saying DeMolay Hall of Famer. I mean, give me a break, really? People getting Hall of Fames. DeMolay. We got wrestling Hall of Fames for people that fake fight. I mean, what's next? Really? Jeez. They can have a Plumbers Hall of Fame, which I actually would respect more than any of this stuff because plumbers actually do work. But anyway, I'm going off topic. But look here. Look here at some of these other famous DeMolays, right? And you'll find something funny. Of course, you'll see guys like Bill Clinton on there. And you'll see a lot of politicians and a lot of astronauts, right? Lots of them. Look at all these astronauts and politicians and actors. Must be a coincidence, right? A lot of these people come through here and become famous, become presidents. I mean, give me a break. And I'll show you a video clip at the end. You'll just roll your eyes at who's, how they speak of DeMolay and who is there to present an award for the DeMolay. But one other thing I wanted to show you is I was looking up stuff on DeMolay ever since this event because I really was trying to dig and find information on these kids, possible different names, aliases. It's really almost impossible for me, at least. I don't have the capability or the database, and I don't know where I would find it. But to get into a database to find out members of certain lodges, I looked up all the lodges down in Florida. I looked up all the DeMolays, at least, within a certain mile radius of there, trying to see if these kids had their names in there, their fathers, or, any of the people involved in the sheriff's department. I couldn't find much because they're not going to just announce it. I mean, they're going to be smart enough, I think, at this point, even though they're pretty stupid, to take, if there's a picture of Hogg, doing a DeMolay Lord of the Rings nerd ritual, I don't think that, it's going to be up on YouTube or up on, Pinterest or something like that with what they know that we know, right? So they probably take the proper precautions. But anyway, so in researching this, I found this is just disturbing. The Albert Pike DeMolay Crystal Ball of 2009. Some kid posted this, and I won't call him a name because I'll get the strike, but somebody posted this, and you can see it's almost like a prom. And all these teens who look like the same age as some teens that we just recently saw involved and are seeing become pro activists and heroes in this country. About the same age, right? They're up there not only parading around in this, as part of this secret society, but they're okay with the fact that it's named after Albert Pike. This is the same guy who all Masons worship, all Masons follow the, morals and dogma and all the crap that this guy's written. But this is the same guy who openly admits to worshiping Lucifer. I mean, you can read the quotes for yourself. I put them on the screen. So they're imagine they were like, and listen, I'm trying to use an example. We all know history is tainted or something like that. But just imagine you were 12, you weren't awake, and whatever your take is on the guy, that's not the point of what I'm saying. But just imagine you were like 15, you're going to the prom, and they're like, it's the Adolf Hitler prom 2011. Hey, right? Or like the Mussolini. I mean, just think about how ridiculous to have a prom named after a guy who openly talks about worshiping Lucifer, who openly talks about how the next world war needs to occur, how they need to cause friction between these people, openly talks about destroying Christianity. And these people just have a prom in his name, and they put it up on YouTube. I mean, it's all there for people to see, all right? So these kids, they're recruited, whether it's their parents, whether it's a friend of a friend. This is how it happens. This is how they network. This is how you get kids on board. It's not hard to think. People go, well, I mean, how could everybody be in on? How can this person? Just remember the video I did yesterday about the destruction of a certain building down there in Florida. Okay, the building was torn down. It was a building for freshmen, right? All these kids happen to be seniors. I guess they were all real close friends with freshmen, which doesn't sound weird. I'm not saying that it's out of the realm of possibility that somebody's sister or brother could have been one of them or something like that. Didn't hear any stories like that. But it was in that building where new kids could have just come in and left and nobody would have known, right? Things that make you go, But anyway, I just wanted to give you some of those things to keep in mind, that there's children out there who are learning about Pike through Dee Millay, through Job's Daughters. You'll see them troll in the comment section. They're pathetic trolls. They think that by coming here and psychologically trying to say stuff to me like, you're a horrible person, I'm going to flag your channel. Like, I give a crap, because I could psychologically destroy these people if they really wanted to. I could care less. I love conflict. I don't care. You can come here and say something about my mother. I don't care. Doesn't matter. I'll troll you right back, and I'll troll you 10 times harder. So the CIA or whoever could send in thousands of trolls. I'm not going to go, oh man, I should shut my channel down. Or, oh man, my feelings are hurt. I love it, because I know if I ever, I know verbally I could say something back and destroy their minds. So please, no thanks. But if you'd like, I'm okay with it too. So Walt Disney, a Hall of Famer in the Dee Millay, I wanted to point that out just so you guys know how kids are influenced, where it comes from, the connections, all these people of power. What a coincidence, the list of astronauts and everyone else. And take a look at this clip on your way out and tell me if that face looks familiar. A proud 33rd degree Freemason and former president of the United States, showing his connection and his fondness of Dee Millay. Give me a break.
Blodgett from Mound City, Missouri. The telephone number is Judson 67000, or it's Box 191, Radio City Station. Well, we've been talking about the Order of Dee Millay tonight. For those of you who haven't heard the story, I'm sure almost everyone in the whole world has heard about Dee Millay. This is an organization that started with one boy and his 8 friends. An organization that in one man's lifetime started from that one boy to today. It is nearly 3 million young men in all of the free countries of the world. The important thing in any organization, of course, is the spark plug of the organization, the person who has the brilliant idea and follows the star. I'd like to introduce the gentleman who founded Dee Millay and has been its president ever since, my very good friend, Mr. Frank Land.
Ted, it's a great privilege to have you back here in Kansas City again and doing this wonderful work for Dee Millay that you've done once before. We owe you a tremendous debt of gratitude. And in fact, the entire Dee Millay movement throughout the world tonight is more or less looking in on this telecast that we're now witnessing. Ted, Kansas City has produced some great leaders. We have a lovely city, as you've indicated. But I would like to present to you and to your television audience and those in this huge auditorium Missouri's most distinguished citizen, the Honorary Grand Master of Dee Millay, and a member of its executive committee, who has come here for the purpose of making a presentation to you on behalf of the Dee Millay boys of the entire world. I take great pleasure in presenting to you the former president, President Truman. Thank you very much.
Ted, it's a very great pleasure to me on behalf of Dee Millay to present you with this plaque, which reads like this: Ted Mack, whose interest in American youth is traditional, who is a symbol of the helping hand to young and old, whose kindness and friendly advice is an inspiration to all whose visit to the American home is a longed-for delight, who has helped thousands to attain their cherished dreams. We thank him for his help and wish him and his a long life of good health and happiness. The Order of Dee Millay by Frank Land, founder. Kansas City, Missouri, April the 29th.
Well, this is one of the nicest things I've ever received in my life. Frank, I know you know how deeply I appreciate it. And Mr. President, may I say that this is one of the high spots in my whole life. To have you present this to me, I thank you very, very much. You've made me a happy man tonight.
Not the first time I've seen you.
No,
I
it
think I
isn't,
had
sir.
a session with you when I was President of the United States.
You did, sir, but we couldn't get you to play the piano because
up
you were
the-
not an amateur at that time.
Keep up the good work. I never was an amateur, I hope, in anything but politics.
Thank you so much, both of you.